So this video is going to be part of my collection reveal series in a sort of way, I guess. Basically, whenever I finish off a set of holos, so if I collect, every Metal Raiders holo foil card and PSA graded slabs, I'll basically just show off the entire set, and that's what I'm going to do here now with these first edition PSA 8 Jungle Pokemon series. So there's 16 holofoil cards within this set, and I've got all 16 graded first edition PSA 8. I'm just going to really kind of go quickly through them. I don't really want to add these kind of cards into my collection reveal so much because they're not that high value cards that really draw interest. They're not PSA 10s where each card is worth, $500 to $600 each. But they are cards that I'm collecting and wanted the artworks for, and so just going to go through them real quick. And then with Jungle set, Jungle is one of the hardest sets for Pokemon cards to grade, just because they have a lot of issues with almost everything. Honestly, silvering on the sides has always been an issue with this set. Scratches definitely on the holofoils. Pack pulled cards will have scratches on the holofoil, and it's like, well, there goes the PSA 10 that I wanted. And then just always these factory nicks and stuff, or just nicks of any kind on the corners of these cards. So Jungle set is definitely one of those hard to grade sets for Pokemon. And so while people are trying to get those PSA 9s and 10s out of these cards, they'll sometimes get those 8s, and that's when I go in and just buy them up. Have them for my own collection. They're cheaper cards, but still very collectible cards, near mint to mint grade. Anything that's typically PSA 7 or higher is considered collectible for these newer era cards. Obviously, most people want those 9s and 10s, but this is what I'm comfortable with collecting and paying for, and that's what I've collected so far. So this Clefable card first, number 1 out of them. I'll just go from 1 to 16 on these in order. Really nice artwork on this one. It's Clefable's always been well-desired card, and then, or Pokemon I should say, and then even more so once it became a fairy type and got a really big boost to its battling power, I should say. Got a lot more used within Pokemon battles because of that fairy typing that made it so strong. Second is Electrode. Funny enough, Electrode is actually my favorite Pokemon. Don't ask me why. It just has been, always has been, really. And this is actually one of the first PSA graded cards that I actually ever bought. So it's kind of like a special card to me in that sort of sense. And then this Jungle series, I've had this done for quite a while. And so you're going to pretty much see all the older PSA levels and none of the newer ones because I've had this set collected for quite a while. Next is one of the fan favorites out of this set, and for good reason, Flareon. Color on this card is just amazing. It just looks so good. And then the stance on the Flareon itself as it's kind of pouncing just looks really good. I mean, this card's just all around amazing looking, and it's the reason why it's one of the most expensive cards from this set. Next up, another big fan favorite, the Jolteon. And again, another card that just has color that pops and just looks really amazing. Jungle set definitely stepped up a lot on the holofoil cards from base set and on the artworks and whatnot. You think of base set, and really the only holofoil that really pops out and stands out is the first edition base Charizard. All the other holofoil cards from base set, they just kind of look plain and nothing too special. But a lot of these Jungle cards, they just have colors that pop and just look really great on their artworks. But there are some that aren't as great looking, and we'll get to that next actually. Kangaskhan. So this is kind of an example of going back to just these plain backgrounds. Nothing too special. It's got green and white or green and silver in the background, and then the Kangaskhan itself is just kind of just standing there doing nothing. So not one of the better artworks, but part of this set for the Jungle series, and needed it for the collection. Mr. Mime. Not much to say about this card. Nidoqueen Queen. I actually like the artwork on this one. It's got standing in almost like a blossom field or whatever. So it's got that pink ground flowering, and then a nice, just not really nice background looking, really. So I've always really liked the artwork on this card. Pidgeot, another really good looking card, I think, in my opinion. Again, like the stance on the Pokemon is just really interesting. It's got an aggressive looking stance, and then colors just really look well on this. And then really for the colorless Pokemon, I've always just really liked how the holo foil goes with this white colorless background on the whole of the card. Especially if the holo foil itself is like a very light or white color, it just looks really good in my opinion. Pinsir. I think this was actually the last card that I bought to complete this set, but I can't remember for sure because it's been so long. Scyther. Snorlax. This is just another one of those examples of the colorless card going with like a very light or white holo foil background. I just think it looks really nice. And this is actually an 8.5. So I consider 8.5s to just be 8s. So you'll see sometimes within these Pokemon collections that I'll have 8.5s, and that's just because I consider them to be an 8, the same as, just, even though it's that 0.5. I'm not extremely picky on everything has to be an 8. I actually like the 8.5s. I think they're kind of a little interesting to have in the collection because of that unique grade to them. And the last of the evolutions, the Vaporeon, probably the least best looking, I guess you would say. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it doesn't have that color pop quite like the Jolteon and the Flareon does. But still an evolution, still one of those highly wanted cards because evolutions, there's only 20 of them now. Venomoth. I always kind of found it interesting that this got made into a grass type and not like a psychic type, considering it, in the game it's bug type and it was kind of known for having like psychic, so, but whatever. Victory Bell. Vileplume. And again, this is like going back to kind of like what base set was about, where it's just a Pokemon with just like this very plain, like non-interesting background, just a green with like kind of some swirls in there. Nothing too special. It doesn't make the card look all that great, but I wasn't the designer, so. And then the very last card, Wigglytuff. And that is it. So yeah, definitely plan on seeing more of these completed sets coming out, especially for like Pokemon. I think I'm like one card away from completing my fossil set, and then just a couple off of like Neogenesis and the Rocket sets. And so I'll look forward to posting those or making videos of those. And I'm just going through all these artworks because this is a mainly Yu-Gi-Oh channel. So I mean, people watching this may have never really seen some of these Pokemon cards, and I think showing off these artworks are good to do. It's good to do. And then this is actually also like the first just solely Pokemon video that I've done on my channel so far. It's supposed to be, both the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh channel, even though it's mainly Yu-Gi-Oh so far. So it's kind of disappointing that it took me this long to make a full Pokemon video, but oh well. And as always, thank you for watching.